Hi, I'm Lynette and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial on this look right here, along with swatches from the new Melt Cosmetics She's in Parties palette. Now, I know I've said a couple of times now already that Melt does not make my favorite eyeshadow formula. But here I am with another Melt Cosmetics palette. And though it's not my favorite formula, their color stories are just so beautiful. I mean, look at this. It's got a mirror. First of all, the packaging is absolutely gorgeous. Oh, the packaging is gorgeous. And then the color story. This color story just speaks to my soul. And the She's in Parties was originally a stack that I believe had 4 shades in it, and then Melt added an additional 4 more plummy shades and released it now as a palette. So they're continuing what looks to be a transition from their stacks to just traditional eyeshadow palettes, which is fine by me. I really don't have a preference. Well, I guess I like eyeshadow palettes a little better. They're a little, easier to handle, work with, and to store. The palette has 8 eyeshadows, 3 of which are matte and the others are shimmer metallic. It retails for $48 and the shades run from lilac-y, plum to purple, and they are beautiful. I mean, this color story, there's one shade, that Skeleton Kiss, which is a champagne pink shade, which I'm not usually a fan of when they put champagne shades in a palette such as this, like a monochromatic palette. But this one is a duochrome. It is a champagne with a pink flip, and it's really pretty. And I understand, I guess, the desire or the need to put in such a shade because it gives you maybe a little more versatility in the looks you can do. You're not going to be able to do, I don't think, too many different looks with this palette because it is primarily plums and purples, which is okay by me. One of my favorite colors. And this color story is just beautiful. So I will be telling you my thoughts after using this palette for the first time today. So that's gonna come after the tutorial. So if you're interested, please stick around. In the meantime, if you would like to see how I created this look today using the new Melt Cosmetics She's in Parties palette, then keep on watching. I'm starting out like I usually do these days with my P.Louise base in the shade Rumour 5. And I'm just going to blend that out all over my eye. This will serve as my base for today's look, and I decided to use a base because I'm going to be using a really dark eyeshadow, and these Melt shadows tend to be very pigmented, and so if there's going to be any staining, I would like to cut it down to the minimal. Using my NYX Blame It On Midnight eyeshadow single, I'm going to set the base down to the crease, from the brow bone to the crease, because these shadows again tend to be very pigmented, so they can be hard to blend, and I want to try to mitigate that as much as possible by setting the base so it's not too tacky or sticky, so that eyeshadow won't just stick to the first place I place it on my skin. I'm taking Last Caress and a Sonia G Builder Pro. Whoa. I just talked about how pigmented these shadows are, and then look what I do. Placing that in the crease and high above the crease. Whoa. Making sure I tap off the brush before going in with it, because there is kick up and there will be fallout if you don't do that. And just using back and forth motions to try and blend this very pigmented shade out. Now taking Mean Streak and a Delium Tool 777 brush. And I'm going to try and be a little more light-handed with this. Wow, look at how pigmented that is. Wow. It's this beautiful, really dark, purpley plum shade. And I'm going to place that on the outer V area here. And I'm going to do a bit of a halo eye with this. So I'm placing it on the outer V area and blending it out using circular motions onto the lid. And is it covering right here? It doesn't look like it. So I gotta make sure rather than do too much blending, I'm tapping. Otherwise, it doesn't look like this shade is going to build. And I'm also going to place it here in the inner corner of the lid. And I'm also going to bring it into the crease. Now taking Lost Control, this beautiful plum metallic shade on a Real Techniques setting brush, shader brush. And I wet the brush and I'm going to take it right here and pretty much do exactly the same with this as I did with that last really deep matte shade. Placing it in the outer V area and bringing it into the crease, but I'm going to try not to bring it here in the middle because I'm gonna put a different eyeshadow there and just blending it out. And this is a really, really pretty shade. And I'm going to do the same thing on the inner corner. And I'm trying not to go all the way into the inner corner because I don't want to cover up all of that that dark matte shade. Now taking Strange Love on a Sonia G Builder Pro. This is this beautiful metallic lilac shade. And I also wet my brush. And I'm going to place that right there in the middle where I try to keep it clean. Now, if you wanted this shade to show up a little bit more, you could have easily, or I could have gone in with like a Q-tip and some micellar water and removed some of that shadow that covered it up. And you could also use your finger to place this shadow. And I'm going up into the crease as well, over my eye fold. Going back in with Lost Control, the metallic deep shade, just to try and blend that those two shadows. The one I just put on in the middle, blend it in so it looks nice and seamless. And for some reason it looks like this halo here isn't as bright as this one. So I'm just going to add a little bit more to this one to see if I can't get them to look more alike. And I didn't wet my brush anymore. I just put it in dry. but maybe I should because this one just looks so much brighter. Okay, I'm going in with it wet. Yeah, and it doesn't seem to have made much of a difference. Going back in with Last Caress, that crease shade, and with very little additional product, I'm just going to blend out the crease here. So this all looks seamless. Now taking Total Immortal, this beautiful matte lilac shade, and a Sonia G mini booster brush, and I just want to blend out the edges of the crease here, kind of lighten this look up just a wee bit. And ooh, as you can see, this shade is very pigmented, just like all the others. Now I'm taking Skeleton Kiss, this beautiful metallic here. Not sure if I'm gonna like this, but I'm going to place that under my brow arch. It's this beautiful champagne pink. It actually does remind me of that shade I put in my brow arch when I use the Divine Rose 2 palette. I don't usually put a metallic under my brow, but I liked how that looked so much, so I thought I would try that with this one. And I'm not mad at it. Just for me, it's important that I blend well, because I just don't want it to be so stark, like it's looking really stark right here. So I want to blend that out really well. I'm also going to take that shade on my finger and just see what it looks like if I dab it right here in the middle of my eyelid. Not sure if it's gonna really show up or not. But I guess that answers that question. Just want to break up some of this monochromatic grape goodness we've got going on here. Now I'm just going to clean up under the eye because I did have fallout. And I'm going to go off camera and do my liner. I think I'm going to do a wing, I'm not sure yet. And I'm going to apply some lashes. Going back in with Total Immortal, that really light lilac matte shade. And I'm going to place that on the lower lash line. And it didn't take much for that shade to show up, as light as it is. Now I'm going in with Sleepwalk, this plum metallic shade, and I'm going to wet my brush. And I'm going to place that on the lower lash line. Okay, so I didn't realize I wasn't filming this part, but I did take this shade right here. She's in Parties, which is this more reddish shade right here. And I did place that right here in the middle of my lower lash line with a wet brush. Now with a wet pencil brush, I'm going to take Skeleton Kiss and I'm going to apply that to the inner corner. Now I'm taking my Colourpop gel eyeliner in the shade Piggy Bank, and I'm going to try to apply that to my lower lash line. I have eyeshadow down there, so I don't know if this is gonna work. Doesn't look like it. And this is the final look. I used my Inglot gel liner in number 77 for the liner in the wing, and my Kiss Faux Mink lashes in the style Little Black Dress. I really love how this look came out. I think it's really pretty. I think the addition of that skeleton kiss, that champagne-y pink shade on the top, kind of kicked it up a notch for me. I was looking for it to be a little brighter, and I thought it would. I thought this Strange Love shade, which is absolutely gorgeous, the metallic lilac shade. Oh, it's so pretty. I thought that was really going to brighten up the look, but it didn't, and that may have been because I had so much dark eyeshadow underneath it. It may, perhaps if I had cleaned off my lid a little bit in that area before going in with this eyeshadow, it would have popped a little bit more. But I think the addition of Skeleton Kiss really did, oh, that is so pretty. Really did give it more of the pop that I was looking for. I don't know why I expected this to be a little more on the plummy reddish side. I get wine, on the plummy wine side. This side of the palette, this She's in Party shade, it has a little more red, but I was expecting, I don't know, these two shades to be really more wine plum. And when putting this look together, I really got more of a grape purple plum look, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but I really love the look, and the eyeshadows performed very nicely. From the very deepest shade, which would be Mean Streak, this one right here, this really dark plum shade, which of course made me very nervous because Melt Cosmetics, although they have very pigmented eyeshadows, especially the mattes, they can be a little more difficult to blend. But I didn't have any problems applying or blending out any of the shadows. They're all very pigmented, including the metallics. I did use all of the metallics wet because that's just how I like to work with metallics, and they applied beautifully. I would suggest when using this palette that you do your eyes first, because there is kick up, especially with the matte shades. I got a lot of kick up in the pan, especially with the deepest shade here, that Mean Streak. A lot of kick up. So I would suggest you go in and do your eyes first, and that's especially if you're going to do your under eye and you already have your makeup done. I would go in with any of the shimmer shadows wet to try to cut down on any fallout onto your face. But yeah, surprisingly, another melt palette that really worked. I think of all the melt palettes that I've picked up recently and have used, because I still have one I haven't used yet, this one was the easiest to work with, and the color story is absolutely gorgeous. It really speaks to me, and yes, I am very happy thus far with this palette. So if you were thinking about checking it out, I know initially some of the swatches, the pictures of the swatches were a little confusing, because I think Trend Mood had showed swatches that made this look a lot more plum and purple, and then Melt Cosmetics initial swatches, they made it look more brown. They made these shades here look more brown, but after seeing a couple of videos on it, I knew that they were more plum. So if you were concerned about that, it is a plum purple palette, and yes, so far I'm loving it. Let me know if you'd like to see any more looks with this palette. Also, let me know, did you pick up this palette? Are you planning on picking it up? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, then please give it a like and consider subscribing, because I do eyeshadow tutorials here on the regular, along with makeup hauls, swatches, and reviews. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.